we're going to be talking with Fataah Dihaan, and I'm super excited about it. Fataah, do you want to kind of introduce yourself so people can learn a little bit about you and all that good stuff?
Sure. I'm Fataah Dihaan. I am the CEO of a creative agency based in New York with a small team in Los Angeles called Coup Creative. We are essentially a creative agency that does a bit of everything. We do copy, we do strategy, we do creative work for, our biggest client and my most grateful client is PepsiCo. So we work in partnership with PepsiCo's internal agency, Creators League Studio, which is also an amazing agency that sits within PepsiCo. We partner with them on Mountain Dew and Bubbly and some Pepsi work. And that's essentially all of it. So it's a lot of things. We've done copy, we've done strategy for global, everything. So there's not just one thing we do. We do a bunch of things.
Would you mind if I screen share your website at Coop
No, yeah,
Creative?
go for it, please. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, sure. It needs to be
Actually,
updated. So
yeah, if you want to give us a tour, you're more than welcome to give us a screen share on your end. What would you prefer?
well, if you can walk us through it, you do the screen share, and then I'll kind of walk you through it. How about that? That way.
Okay, that sounds great. So
All right.
here we go.
Yes, this is the site. It needs to be updated, so please forgive it. So New York and Los Angeles, we have some partners in Paris as well, because members of my team are fairly European and global. Yes, this is who we are. You can keep scrolling down. It's so weird walking through the site. So what do we do? So ways in which Coup Creative can support you. You can keep going down, actually.
Okay.
So campaign, strategy, creative direction, partnerships. I think the great thing about PepsiCo is kind of, allowed us to kind of break our teeth on a number of projects, whether that be copy, whether that be strategy, whether that be, pack programs, creative direction, graphics and design. We kind of broke our teeth at PepsiCo, and I think PepsiCo is the kind of place where if they believe in you, they're going to keep letting you show up if you keep showing up. So that's been really awesome.
Do we have some so I know you, just since we're on it on the site, you co-founded this, but are there some images that we can show of
Keep going down. There should be the link to our Instagram. I think if you keep going down, keep going.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can go straight to our Instagram. There's that.
Sweet.
Yeah, so there's a work with 7-Up and Fido for 2019. This is our work with LifeWater. LifeWater has been a great partner for global, at least, because LifeWater champions the creative community, the artist, and as well as the fashion space. So my team is especially keen on fashion and on art. So it just seemed like a perfect partnership.
Cool.
And so we also try to at least celebrate a lot of the great things that are happening. Again, all this needs to be updated, so apologies. So I didn't
That's
realize
okay.
it was going to be so on today. So
Everyone's seeing it for the first time, so.
Okay, great. We've supported the Democratic Party and the strategy movement back to the House in 2018, which was really awesome as well. So if you keep further, if anyone wants to visit the Instagram, all the work with PepsiCo and the work we've done with Pepsi, the work we've done with 7-Up, it's all there.
Is this a video with sound? Can we play this?
You can play it, yes. It is a moving graphic, but yes, you can play that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so and I think we kind of pride ourselves on being as innovative and as future thinking as we possibly can. So I think the great thing about PepsiCo has kind of allowed us to give some thoughts and ideas that in some ways I might think they're a bit too edgy, but they're always really open to it. So which has also been a gift, which has also been great. So we also try to celebrate other artists as well. We've worked with Lemon Lemon, which is also a global brand for PepsiCo, which is sparkling lemonade, which is the first PepsiCo brand, I believe, in my opinion, to really believe in us. And so I think our whole work with Pepsi began with Lemon Lemon. So I've got a special place. There's a special place for Lemon Lemon in my heart, actually, because
cool.
The brand manager there was like, you guys are good, so let's see if we can give you guys some cool things. They gave us spaces for copy and strategy, etc. So that was really awesome as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so to come back here,
it's cool walking through the work because I think oftentimes I kind of I forget everything that we've done. I think New York is an interesting space because you do one thing and then it's like on to the next thing, and then it's on to the next thing. I think this time is even more interesting because it kind of allows people to step back to consider, okay, cool, like what have I done? And like, what do
Hmm.
I want to do moving forward?
Totally. I definitely have been feeling that, which is one of the reasons that I'm doing this conversation series, is to
Yeah,
think
same here.
about like, what have I done? Like, what are other people doing? And how can
Yeah,
I find
sure.
inspiration from them so that I can figure out what to do next? And you co-founded this. Is that something in the beginning? I kind of
So
wanted
yeah,
you.
so Julian, so I was actually working at an agency that was working with Pepsi Global on strategy, and Julian was the creative director for that agency. And to make a very long story short, he and I kind of joined forces to come together to launch what we have now, which is Coup Creative. So Julian is Swiss. He was born and bred in South America, and he, he's Italian, so he kind of comes with a lot of like, with a real global perspective. I think that married with, I'm American through and through,
Hmm.
but I think those that sort of thing kind of came together to merge to create what we have now. So I think Julian offers a very like global aesthetic, and kind of I think I offer global aesthetic as well, but I try to marry that with like what I believe is an American sensibility, which has been really nice.
Cool. I'm going to turn off the screen share here,
Okay.
um, so that we can get you front and center.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, it's been such a awesome experience meeting you and getting to know you, and our friendship is new, but it's been so inspiring and exciting, and I kind of wanted to dive into some of your thoughts about creativity and this time, and
Sure.
um you know, it sounds like I'd actually be really curious, since we're kind of talking about brand partnerships and Coop Creative, how have you pivoted? Are you doing anything dramatically differently now that people are stuck inside? Are
Sure.
your activations that might occur in public space happening elsewhere online,
Yeah.
or kind of like how has your work changed since
Well, it's
all this?
funny. Well, first of all, I want to say hi to Bridget Barkin, who's here, who actually introduced us, who's on this link. She's kind of the one who
Woohoo!
introduced us, who's an amazing New York artist who I love to death. She's a legend. But right now I think PepsiCo is doing the right thing. PepsiCo is taking time to pause to figure out like what are the best ways that they can give back to community, give back to culture. So I think most brands are doing that. Most brands are kind of figuring out like what is the next step? How do we respect where people are at? How do we respect this time and make the right choices moving forward for our communications, for our marketing? So we're still doing the work. For example, we shot a big Mountain Dew spot that's now in editing right now. But as
Hmm.
far as the big community stuff, the social engagement, I think CLS in particular is like doing the good work of like getting back into the lab, figuring out what are the insights, how are people feeling, how do we speak to this time. For me
Hmm.
personally, um, it's been interesting. I kind of have like, I'm still showing up for PepsiCo. Of course, I'm still working from home. My team is still working from home, very much so. But I think what's happening now is I think that brands have to figure out, and ourselves included, we have to figure out how we want to show up in the world.
Hmm.
And showing up means like, how can I show up for people? Because I think people are trying to figure out how they can show up for people as well as show up for themselves. So I think for myself, I'm taking this time to not only work on the business, but I'm giving myself time to work on and consider what is life for me as a creative, as a strategist, like after this time. I don't want to look back on this time to be like, oh my God, I should have been like, you know, I should have been. I want to do what I feel like my heart is drawing me to do right now, which is I think is a myriad of things. Like some days I wake up and I want to just like do work on Pepsi and then be out. Some days I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I want to work on Pepsi, but I also want to work on like, this script idea. I want to work on, this idea for like an art project. And some days I want to get up and I want to just like read magazines. There's Document Magazine is an awesome magazine I bought recently, but it has like an interview with the founders of ID, which is really awesome and cool to be inspired in that way. So I think we all have to kind of make a choice with like, okay, great, I'm waking up. The world is still where it's at, but I'm going to use today to like blank. And how blank is for you shows up in a myriad of different ways. But I think if we're proactive about our blank and what our blank is, I think we'll get through this. Like, I think we'll come out of this transformed.
Hmm.
I don't, did that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
Sorry,
Good.
I was a little bit distracted because we went live on Instagram.
Oh, okay, awesome, great.
Yeah,
Cool.
but I am just, it's been so fascinating to see how people are sort of pivoting, and how people's lives are different and how they're not different.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious um, what your thoughts are on how people who are inside that have, okay, coming back to you founding your own creative agency. I'm
Yeah.
really curious if you find that, what made you want to start that in the first place?
Oh,
And
wow.
once you knew that you wanted to, what steps did you take to actually go about doing that?
Wow. This should only take us the rest of the conversation. So let's just do that. In 45 minutes, we'll be finished. I think that, wow, I'm going to go way back. I have to think, I'm going to go back to my parents, and this sounds weird, but I think that, my parents kind of raised me to believe that there was nothing that I could not do. And
Sure.
so, and we still grew up poor. We still, my parents are both very, very community minded, but there was nothing that I could not do. And I think that I came to New York with a real drive to leave my stamp on something. And I was an actor, and I did commercials, and I worked for Viacom for a little bit. I had my own magazine for like 2 years. That was then working with like Interscope and W, and then I kind of started this agency. But I kind of did everything with the spirit of like, I want to leave my stamp and I want to leave my mark. And
Hmm.
so I believe brands have, I want to make sure I say this right. I believe brands have the opportunity to like move and affect culture in big ways. So when I had the opportunity to work with PepsiCo, I was like, well, great, this is my chance to work with like a big, huge blue chip brand, like come there with all the things that I am. I'm growing up black and poor and gay and all those things, and come there and kind of like infuse all of those things into like into a brand that is as big as PepsiCo. And
Hmm.
so I think with everything I've been given, it like every opportunity I've been like, great, like bet, like I've got it. And I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, like, am I ready for this? 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 But I'm a big believer that like the fact that we're given the opportunity means that the universe believes we're ready.
Sure.
So when I got Lemon Lemon, when I got PepsiCo, was because in the moment I was like, oh my God, am I ready? Like, am I ready? Am I ready? But the fact that I was given the chance let me know that I was ready. And so I've kind of believed into like you have to just say yes. You got to say yes. You got to show up, because the people who are meant to kind of raise you up into the position, the people who are meant to like to show you the way so you can kind of stand confidently in the opportunities will show up. And so I feel like that's also been a great thing for my life. It's like, the opportunity came to work with Lemon Lemon, and I was like, okay, great. Like, yes, let's do it. So I spent like, I'll never forget it. Like the brand manager of Lemon Lemon was like, look, this is what I need. And I need it on Monday. And it was like Pride weekend. I was like, oh my God, my Pride. And I was like, well, fuck that. I'm going to stay inside. I'm going to work on this shit and I'm going to do it. And I did it. And then she was like, great, I love it. And then she was like, oh, wait, let me give you more. 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 So
Whoa.
I've just learned how to
That's
just keep
crazy.
saying yes. So that's kind of the long and short of the agency. I think it's the long and short of my life. It's like I learned how to keep saying yes. And I believe and I have the faith that like the universe is going to guide the way so that I'm able to show up, and not only show up confidently, but show up and win.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Showing up and winning. It's like so hard for me to, I feel like I'm winning a little bit right now.
Oh,
There's a
you're
lot of
winning.
people on the
You've been winning. You're
call.
doing it.
I'm excited for everybody here being a part of the conversation. That certainly
Yeah, me
feels like a
too.
win.
It's great. No, it's great. We're all here together. So we're waiting. Honestly, the fact is that we are alive and we are in homes right now, and we have, God willing, some food in our bellies, and we are able to like to use this time and use it connected with one another. We're winning. Like I think it's a good thing that we can be connected in this way no matter where we're at. We can be together, we can talk, we can like inspire each other. We're winning. I'm gonna shut up and let you keep going. Sorry.
No, no, you can go. I mean, part of this is just to have you to like talk about your story and your work, and to share some of your inspiration, because I think at least for me, we were on the phone the other day and you're like, no, Matt, art plus people. It's now. Now's
No,
the
I'm
right
going
time.
ham.
Do it.
Yeah. Well,
And
I think the time is now for everyone. Whatever is tugging at you, I think now is the time to do it. Like if you are so funny. Last night I woke up in the middle of the night with like an idea, and I was like, no, not last night. 2 nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, and Bridget will call this like the muse. I woke up in
mm,
the middle of the night, and I was like, should I go back to sleep? And then I was like, you know what? I reached for my phone and I was like, just like writing it all out. Like, and the irony is that it wasn't until yesterday afternoon that I was like, oh my God, I think I woke up in the middle of the night with that idea. And I went back to it and I was like, oh shit, this idea is pretty cool. So I'm just trying to just like answer like the pull, like in this
okay.
time, like the
That's
pull.
actually a great, I'm very curious about that. Do you feel like you're pulled by like something higher or something different, or like what is it that makes, okay, so like you're up at night, and I have the same experience where I'll be up at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden I'll just get this random idea and I'll think to myself, I just want to go to sleep and not really think about it. And
It's the
then
muse.
I'll like I'll think to myself, no, I got to do it. And I have like so many notes in my iPhone of just like
Yes,
random ideas that I
yes.
wrote down, and like some of them have turned into things, some of them have not. Like, where does that come from? Do you think that's
Oh
like,
God,
some people would say that's the divine, that's like borrowing your body in order for to push you to a creative thing?
yeah.
What what do you feel like? Do you think everybody has that? Is it just us or you, or there's so many people on this call that I'm looking at right now that all have that. Like, where
I'm
does it come
smiling
from?
now because we're going there. So I think it's exciting that you're going there. So thank you for taking that call there. I can't speak for anyone else. I think that from myself, I consider myself to be epically spiritual. Like I believe that
Mm,
everything has purpose and everything has like a meaning. I believe that I'm being guided to live my best self, to live my mission. And so I also know when I'm getting the invitation. And the invitation shows up in a myriad of different ways. There's the invitation to leave certain things behind. There's the invitation to like open the door, make clearance for new things. There's an invitation to like to follow your heart space. There's an invitation to like hear the muse. I think if we really step out of it, I think most things are an invitation. It's kind of like right now, right? I think right now there's an invitation to use this time living in fear, or to use this time to stand in power. And so
hmm.
when you stand in power, you living in fear means like, okay, great, I'm gonna leave this time being like, okay, great, like I hoarded like a million pieces of toilet paper, and I was like, whatever else that is means to live in fear, right? And so that's a way to spend your time. I mean, that is a way to spend this time, however long this time is. But I think when you stand in power, there's just a space where you step out of the fear space to see what else is at play right now, like what else is happening that's at play. And I think
Mm,
when you step back to think about what's at play, I do believe something divine is happening. I do believe the universe is like requesting something big of us. I do believe there's a bit of a reset happening right now when you step out of the fear space. So yeah, so I'm step out of the fear space. I feel like I'm always being invited. I feel like right now, even with being at home with my mom and being at home with my parents, I'm being invited to like to engage with a new relationship with them. Like I'm at home and like my mom is making me tons of meals, which are great. And so, but there's also an invitation for us to have new conversations about like us as like adults, and there's an invitation for me to be with my father in new ways which are interesting and which are really cool
mm.
and great. So I think there's the invitations everywhere, the muses everywhere for us to step into our greater selves. So that's me. The conversations around spirituality are interesting because um, those conversations can also be off-putting. So I want to be
Hmm.
sure that I'm saying that for
Yeah.
me, my journey is, because not everyone has that journey.
I'm gonna ask this last question, which I think is, I hope I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but then
No,
and
no.
then and then I think we should open it up. There's so many interesting people in this room right now, and I would love to
Sure.
open it up for other people to be able to unmute themselves and be a part of it. Um, I'm really curious, you know, uh, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I kind of started thinking about what it meant to be an artist. And I heard about other artists and people talked about selling out a lot of like, oh, how to not sell out or how to like not sell your soul to companies or capitalism or anything like that. And what I
Oh
think
boy.
you're doing through your work doesn't feel like selling out. It doesn't feel like your soul is being sucked out of you by some big company or you know what I mean? Like,
No,
and
sure.
I
Sure.
do I do a lot of public stuff in space to help people feel good and do all these things. But then I also partner with brands and to do activations that make me able to do other things. I'm just curious what you think the interplay is between like working with brands and doing things that are intensely creative. And then maybe some people like, can you even sell out anymore? I feel like
Oh boy.
partnering with brands is like the new cool thing for a lot of artists. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
I would love to. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that, hold on.
Do whatever you need to do. It's all good.
It's a big question. Okay. Uh, okay. How do I answer that? I'll tell you little bit of my journey right now. Right now, I am wrestling with the the amazing access and the opportunity to be with PepsiCo,
Mm,
which I think has been an amazing gift from my life, and it's been like a tremendous like game changer. It's transforming in so many different ways, right?
mm,
Coupled with that, I also move through. There are things outside of PepsiCo that I want to see realized. So, I just came off of a big conference in Singapore, the New Museum, and that conference was around like sustainability and like environment and so I was with some of the greatest minds I feel like I feel like I was with some of the greatest minds like ever, right? So I'm there, I'm working on concepts for future farming, and my mind is being blown. Like a woman there who owns a farm in Singapore is like asking me for my support to create a new possibility for her farm. So I'm there with her, we're working, we're building, etc. And then I came back to New York, and the first ask I got was, "Great, we want you to work on a brief for like this new product for Pepsi." And I was like, "Great,
hmm.
great." So I kind of moved through like on one end, it's like I have this amazing opportunity. It's to be with like a major like blue chip, like massive brand who I think is doing good work. Coupled with there are people in their institutions who are asking me to do work that's very much for the people. So, and I told Bridget this actually. I'll be honest. I was like, I feel like there's a bit of like Bruce Wayne and kind of Batman thing kind of going on. It's like on one end
Mm,
I'm like
nice.
with
I like that.
PepsiCo, on the other end I'm like helping to save a farm in Singapore. So I think for everyone on the call, myself included, you have to ask yourself like, I think we only sell out when we deny our truth. And so me working with PepsiCo is not denying a truth. I love strategy and I love creative and I love working with big brands. I think that's powerful work. And I love like ideating on new products. And actually, I'd love for them to give me more opportunities to do that. I love all that. And I love like creating cool content that's innovative and cool, like the Pepsi thing you saw with like the floating, like moving things. That was really dope. I mean, I love all that stuff. But I also love giving back. And I also love like like making room for like my intelligence to be in service to the world, to be in
Mm,
service to like people. So, but I think all of us are kind of tasked to ask ourselves like, how are we betraying ourselves? That's the sellout. It's like even if you're working with Nike and so whoever else and so and so and so and so and so and so, if that makes you happy, then go for it. If you're fucking like selling like sneakers all day long and that brings you the joy, then that's you living your purpose. I think it's a great thing. However, if you're you could be working even at a nonprofit and still be like, you know what, this isn't the purpose. I feel
hmm.
like that is the sellout. It's like the sellout happens when like you aren't living in the truth. And so as long as I feel as though I'm living in the truth, I don't feel like I'm selling out. The times when I do feel like I'm selling out has nothing to do with Pepsi, has nothing to do with like cultural work. I feel like I'm selling out when like I deny what I know is the path. And that occurs
Mm,
in relationships, that occurs in like friendships, that occurs in like where I live, that occurs in like business. So if I'm not living a truth in that way, that's when I'm selling out. So I think what's happening right now is, and I'm only saying this now because I had a lot of time to think about the ways in which I might be selling out. So, you know, if I think a great thing about this time is we have to allow ourselves the space to ask ourselves the big questions of what's the big game that's at play right now outside of the virus? Like, what is the game that's at play? There's a game that's at play right now. The universe is asking us to play in a game. So what's the game that's at play? The second question to ask ourselves is, so why? So why? So the universe is requesting of us to either reset or to think about how we're connected with each other. It's requesting us to think about relationships, to ask about our business. So why now? Like, what's happening now that's requesting of us to move and act and transform in new and different ways? So when you ask those questions and you find the answers and you still deny the truth of that, that's when I believe you kind of are selling out. Like when you know, you know. So
well, it's a really cool perspective on selling out. And I think that, yeah, just I've been thinking a lot about that too. And this is great. Cool. Let's open it up. Are you cool with that?
I would love that. Of course. Let's do it.
Sweet. So what I'm going to do is allow everybody, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm not going to unmute everybody all at once. So if you want to unmute yourself, ask a question, be a part of the conversation. This is now like us hanging out. And I know everybody in this room is like super awesome and creative. And I'm excited for everybody to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. I don't bite.
I'll go
Unless
first.
You want me to.
Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. I'm Nora. Hi.
Hi.
This is cool. Thank you. I wasn't sure what I was going to expect, and I was like, oh wow, I love where this is going. It's yeah. I was just thinking, like, it's really. I mean, it's one thing to kind of choose hope, and in these times, at least, to choose hope and like trying to be calm.
Yeah.
Like before COVID times, I guess, we would have to do that, like, you know, once in a blue moon. And I feel like now I have to practice choosing like being calm in the face of uncertainty, like every other hour.
Sure.
So it's a great, it's been great training, I think. And it's so true. I think that these times are really asking of us to play in this, to play the game. I loved how you phrased it, like the universe is asking us. How did you say it? Wait, what game is at play right now?
Yeah, what game is at play right now? Of course.
Yes, I love that.
The game is always afoot with the universe. I think the game is always like afoot.
Right.
The game is a foot.
The game is afoot. Like the game is on.
I'm joking. That's a
bad joke. I hate you. The game is sorry. Keep going.
No, it resonated with me a lot because I'm co-producing an alternate reality game or experience that takes place in the future. And when we were, and Matthew has been a part of this as well, and we've been in the ideation, we talked about the possibility of a global pandemic in the year 2032. That's the year we chose for the alternate reality experience, and now here we are actually living that apocalyptic future we didn't want to really invite people to play in, but we're living it. And so right now we're doing some really deep thinking about, okay, like 12 years from now, what kind of world do we want to be living in? And specific to your experience, I'm curious what you think 12 years from now. I guess twofold, like on a personal level, where do you think your life will be in 12 years from now, but also in the world of branding? Well, since like I feel like you're doing a lot of thinking about like what your truth is, and on a spiritual level. So I would love to hear your take, but also like, what do you think is the future of branding? Because these things are like branding and advertising, and the way we interact with brands, I think, is also going to be changing.
Sure.
So I'd love your take on that.
Yeah, so it's funny. I kind of set intention during this break to be like, you know what, like I love Mexico City. Mexico City is a place where my heart sings. There's great art. There's great like everything. And over this break, I did an Instagram story because I got this. I've been doing so much reading. I've been like, my mom has been like, Fataah, if you get one package from Amazon, I'm gonna kill you. I've been like reading books and books and books and books. But I got a book by a female surrealist artist who spent time in Mexico. Her name is Remedios Varos, and I love Dali, but I'm loving seeing the work from like female surrealists. And she spent, I think, the 50s and the 60s in Mexico. And this book is amazing. Everyone doesn't know her. You should know her. She does amazing work. It's really beautiful.
Wait,
but,
can you type her name in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I
later.
will. For sure, I will.
Okay, thank you.
But I kind of like, I read the book and I was like, you know what? I set intention being like, you know what? One day I want to raise multilingual, multiracial, Rumi quoting, Sufi like children in Mexico City. And I kind of like set that intention. I was like, that's what I want to do one day. I want to raise children in Mexico City one day. So I think that's connected to what I believe brands will go. I think that like brands will go the way of the people. And so brands have to go the way of the people. The brands want to make money, right? So what's happening now? Right now for all of us, the request is of us to look at money in different ways, to look at politics in different ways, to look at medicine in new ways, to look at socialism in new ways, to look at like diversity in new ways, look at globalism in new ways. And so as we shift, I think brands have to shift. And so what I hope will happen is I hope that some of the work that I have always wanted to do with brands, I hope that more of that will happen. You know, how can brands be platforms for change? How can brands be platforms for humanity? How can brands be platforms for culture? How can brands be platforms for the good thing? And so, but that will only happen is if we as a global consciousness have decided that I want to be about good. I want to be about like culture in new ways. I want to be about art. I want to be about connectedness. I want to be about the people. So we as a community and as a global like community, we have to stand confidently in the world that we want to see in the world. So you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what do you want the world to be? And so brands have to honor that. So if a million of us are saying we want to give back more, we want you guys to like stop using plastic, we want you guys to have more brown people on your boards, we want you guys to be giving back more to those who are less fortunate. We want you guys to be spending $10 for every $100 that we spend. If we demand that, brands have to do that. And so I want to encourage everyone here to be vigilant about like who you want brands to be. Like, what do you want Pepsi to be? Like, what do you want like Nike to be? Like, what do you want Adidas to be? And the brands that I love have been like flirting it in some cool ways. Like I thought like what Nike did with like Colin was cool. But I think that now it's going to be the task of like every Pepsi to be like Pepsi has to find like who is their Colin, or like Adidas has to find like who is their like sustainability thing. Like everyone is going to have to find a thing after this. So, but that's only if we find our thing and stand in it like with like conviction and discipline. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I love that so much. I love that so much. I hope that there are grandchildren quoting Rumi everywhere around the world in the future.
Yeah, me too.
I think that we'd be living in a much better world. But I also love that, and we've already seen kind of brands adopting to the way people, especially Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen brands have to adopt and be less tone deaf.
Sure.
And in the year 2045, they'll be in the US specifically. It'll be majority minority.
Yeah.
So our brands will also look more different, whether they like it or not.
Totally.
And I do appreciate that. Like we need to be demanding more of these. Like the power structures are going to change, I think.
100%. I think the crazy thing about like right now with Trump and like even his like his daily like conference or his whatever it is. I don't even know what the fuck it's called, whatever that is. But that is that. But whatever that is, I think in a lot of ways, how we relate to, and I think that the beautiful thing about Trump is like Trump, I think shifts how we see power. Like, you know, Trump is not like a lifetime politician, but he's found a way to claim whatever the command whatever the command is, he's claimed it, right? And so in some ways that shifts how we for ourselves, I think the light part of that is that it shifts that like, that means all of us have the potential to claim like leadership and power. Like Trump was a fucking like, Trump was a womanizing like, oh, and by the way, Trump admittedly so, as a womanizing like martini drinking like New Yorker like real estate guy who then went on to have like a huge show on NBC, who has a fucking star on the Walk of Fame, who is now president of the United States. And so on one end of it, yeah, I guess that can be a bit disruptive and dark and ugly, but the power in that, if you step out of that, that means that like all of us have the potential to do awesome things. I mean, Trump just had the belief. So
we can all run for president.
Say again?
I said we can all run for president.
Yeah, I mean, we can all like lead. And so, and also let's be clear too, the power of this time is change does not begin and end with Trump. It never did. It didn't begin and end with Obama. It didn't begin and end with like Biden. It won't begin and end with whomever it is. The change begins and ends with each of us. But we have to start standing in the power. Like we're all are armed with a great power. And so I think the great thing about this time, we got to just dive back into our power. And so hopefully we can all do that.
So Fataah, this is your official announcement for president, right?
No.
Presidential run?
No.
I'd vote for you.
All right, cool. Good. Well, great. I think if anything, I love moments like these. I want to thank you, Matthew, for doing it because, you know, I think that it's nice to be reminded that we're all in this together. And I think it's nice to be reminded that each one teaches one. So, you know, as we elevate, as we move forward, as we grow, as we move through this shift into this time, I hope that each of us are making more space to like teach other people. The things we're learning right now, I think we're all learning a little bit of something. So I hope we're making more space to learn things. Sorry, I want to ask more questions if anyone has any.
I have.
Hey.
Uh-oh. Oh. Hold on, sorry.
How could you?
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. I'm talking here.
Yes.
So something that I've been thinking about a lot is this idea of individualism and how in this country and just Western idealism is about so much about your personal dream, your individual dream. And we don't always realize how much our brain is completely washed to this idea that it's about ourself, and our personal dream. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the challenge that I'm in and wondering how to consistently, every time I have a thought of my own personal dream, it doesn't feel important to me right now. Mm-hmm. And how for you, are you aligning a personal dream outside of capitalist individualism and bringing it to a more communal concept of what a universal dream is?
Wow. Ooh. Ow! That's the question right there. Bridget, I thank you for that. I appreciate that. So yesterday I had an amazing call with a friend of a friend, and you know, she was kind of talking about her own personal work, which is very community minded, right? She's very much about community. This is just my belief. My belief is that like each of us are born with a purpose. And my other belief is that I think that like each of us is meant to show up as our true selves, because that true self, when it's like, when you're living at 100%, when you're kind of are living in your purpose fully and confidently, that strikes something in the universe. Like that moves and shifts something when we live in our purpose. I think it inspires other people to do the same. And so imagine a world in which that like, you're just going, and I think, I guess I'm kind of wrestling with the idea of like doing you and doing something for community, because you could write a play, in my belief, that's for you, but who's to say that work isn't going to be the strike to the match that's then going to like inspire like another young woman or another girl or another guy to then go and do something else. And so I think that the first question for me is, okay, great, like what's tugging at me? Like what's pulling me? Like, is it a piece of writing? Is it a piece of like, is it strategy work? Is it like creative work? For myself, I always ask like, okay, great. So how can I inject some community mindedness in that? But not everyone has that. I don't think everyone is naturally like community minded. Does that make sense? I feel like the first thing is like, okay, what is that thing? Like, is it a song? Is it like a poem? And so for me, if I do that thing, I feel like in some ways I am doing something for the community. I am doing something for the world. If your intentions are true, why can that thing not be for the world? I mean, I know your work, Bridget, and I think that your work is for the world. I think that like you're creative and your work does great things for the world. And so I think for all of us, like the question is that like, you know, wow, I've really been wanting to do this thing for a long time. My advice is get to that thing first and foremost. Like get to the thing that's pulling you, get to the thing that's like yanking you, get to the muse first. Like do it and build it and create it. You built it and they will come, right? Whatever that thing was in the 80s, right? You build it and they will come. But I just am a strong believer in that, like, I gotta first like do the thing that's yanking at me, because I believe if I give that thing to the world, I was born to give that thing to the world. And who knows how that will spark and inspire someone else to do something awesome and something big. Does that answer your question? Kind of. Well, no. I want to answer. I mean, well, I will say this. Though. I will say this really quick though. That's what I wrestle and like wrestle with. Like, I'm like, trying to sell a new like zero Pepsi. Okay, cool. But who's to say that we're selling zero Pepsi? Who's to say that like my strategy is like, you know, I think the strategy for zero Pepsi is that we have to like link up with like 10 of the best young artists in New York. And who's to say that thing is not the saving grace for that young artist to then go and like then follow their purpose? Like, wow, like Pepsi is like see something in me which is beautiful. Like I was about to give up my job, or I was about to give up my art 2 weeks ago, but Pepsi called me and said, hey, we love what you do. Make this asset for us. What if that is not the saving grace of that artist and to have the money to continue, and then to continue to write and to create? Like that is the power of brand work. I think the power of brand work is that, you know, we're sitting on millions of dollars. What do we do with it? We can like
eventually also get the money from them and build something that's better.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that is when we have to ask ourselves, like, so then why? And I think that goes for me as a marketer. Like, why am I working at Pepsi? I know that I'm working with Pepsi. Given the chance, I want to make sure that I'm using Pepsi as a platform to like to do cool things, to make cool assets, to partner with great artists, etc. So I think that like the larger questions about like brand versus so-and-so, like I've already answered that. Like all of us have to answer for ourselves, like what do we want to do with like the access and the opportunities that we have? And so if all you have right now is your art, then I encourage you to continue with that thing if that's all you have. Because I believe that you doing that thing is going to be a gift and an inspiration for somebody else.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Let's go. I'm excited.
Great.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Sharona.
Sharona?
It's a simple question, hopefully.
Okay. I'll be long-winded about it, I'm sure, the answer.
You.
Oh, wait, Sharona, can I cut you off really quick before you go? I just want everybody to know that Sharona is actually our guest tomorrow. So I'm really excited to have her on. She's an amazing creative person. And if you're enjoying today, show up tomorrow because she's awesome. Anyway,
a lot
continue.
of pressure. My question is, in this day-to-day right now, what are you doing to keep busy?
Oh boy.
Like, what are you doing today? What did you do tomorrow? What did you do yesterday? Like, what is your day-to-day plan to surviving, to continue being creative?
Well, first of all, I think first of all, like this gives me power. Like being with people and talking about like our struggles and like and how ways in which we can move forward like confidently. This gives me power. Like I'm gonna get off this call. I'm gonna have a big breakfast, and then I'm gonna like get into it, right? but it shows up in different ways. Like I came to Buffalo with like 12 magazines. I came with like a mom and a dad who was like super psyched to have me here when I thought I was going to be like in LA or something. So I'm just showing up. Like I'm just showing up with whatever it is in that moment. Like some days showing up is like, I want to take a nap right now. Guess what? I'm going to fucking do it. And I'm going to wake up when I wake up, and that will be that. Or I'm going to watch like an old episode of Law and Order because it's playing on Wii all day. Like it depends. And some days I go to my journal and I'm like, I want to just write about how I'm feeling. Like some days I go through moments of just like sadness because I'm processing things I didn't process that happened months ago because I was so busy in the New York world, right? The irony is that like I feel like in this time, I've processed things that have happened like months ago because I was so like in the New York zone of like, New York, I gotta do it, and I gotta do it, I gotta do it, and I gotta do it. Only in this time have I processed like some relationship stuff and some like sadness over projects that didn't happen. And so I'm just now dealing with it now. So I'm with myself as I grieve and mourn a little bit about some things that just didn't happen. I'm kind of sad about, but now that I'm giving myself space and I'm practicing self-care, I feel better though too. Like I'm processed, I've done the work. Some days it's like I have a whole list of like projects and like creative decks and like things that I'm inspired by that I'm just like, I'm now giving myself space to just work on and do. So my answer to that long and short is that like, I'm just showing up to whatever is tugging at me, whether that be inspiration or creative or writing something or drawing something or calling someone or like sending some, I woke up the other day and I sent a friend of mine's mom like a book. And I was like, can I have her address? She's like, what do you need my mom's address for? I was like, I want to send her a book. I just woke up feeling like I want to send her a book. And I sent her a book. And her mom texted me yesterday being like, oh my God, she's like, I need this book. And that was only, I don't know what it was. I just wanted to do that thing. So whatever the tug is, whatever the invitation is, I'm just going with it. And so I think for all of us, I think that we have to have less resistance about like what this time should be. Like I should be doing a script. I should be doing I should be like figuring out how to run for president. I mean, if that gives you joy, then do that thing. But if like sleeping and calling somebody and being your own brings you joy too, then go with it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm asking because I'm in the same boat. Like I'm at home all day. We're all at home all day, but
yeah,
we're all dealing with it differently. And
sure. But that's a beautiful thing about that question, right? The beautiful thing about that question is that like we're all moving through the same kind of like construct. The construct is that like, okay, I'm home. Mm-hmm. Now what? Like I'm home. Okay, I'm home and I'm alive. I'm home and I'm alive, I can eat. I'm home and I'm alive, I can eat in the US. Okay, cool. I'm home and I'm alive and I can eat, and I have like my computer, and I have the internet. I have a pen and I've got paper. I'm home and I'm alive and I've got pen and I've got paper and I have like a computer and I've got a bed to sleep in. Okay, cool. Like so like you kind of those are all the components of the stew. So
it creates a lot of simplicity. Like the simple things now become a lot more exciting.
Oh my God, yes, right? That's a great thing. How happy you said that, right?
Cooking. Like, who knew? It's a thing.
Totally, great, right? No, 100%. As a matter of fact, I downloaded some recipes the other day that I'm like, I kind of want to like learn how to make like bacalao. I love eating bacalao, but I've never thought that I don't write bacalao, but I love bacalao, but I've never like made bacalao. But I look, we got a couple weeks to get in. I mean, who knows? In like 3 weeks, maybe I'll be like the bacalao king. Maybe I'll in 3 weeks I'll start like a bacalao business. I mean, who knows? But I think that's the beautiful thing about this time, right? We can play like let's not lose our sense of play. And play means that like we can experiment and we can create our own little laboratories, and we can just be with ourselves and give ourselves space and clearance and room to be a bit childlike too. Like I was at Target yesterday and I bought a box of crayons. I bought a box of crayons because right now, I think a few of the museums and galleries are like giving black and white versions of art. So you're able to print them and then color them. And I was at Target, I was like, you know what? I think I want to print like the fucking Mona Lisa and color it. Like, okay, cool. But that's me giving myself and my spirit space to just play without judging it. Like I don't want to judge like what I need right now. Like I need to color. Okay, great. Like I think that being in New York on a weekend and go, no, you should be like going to the gym right now. But guess what? I got plenty of time and self. If that's what you need right now to be happy, then you got it, love.
Yeah. All right. So Well, I just want to be aware of time. It's about 12:51. If people need to go, feel free. If we want to continue the conversation, we can. Fatah, how are we doing? Bridget, are you taking off?
We
Wait,
love you, Bridget.
before you go, I'm going to screen share something really quickly because this is our lineup. Can everybody? I think people should be seeing this. This is our lineup for the week. I'm super excited about. On the call, people I can see right now. JD is on the call now, which I love. Fatah's here is our. It's Wednesday. Here he is. Tomorrow, Sharona. She's right underneath Fatah that I can see on my thing. And then Bridget, I know you're leaving, but you'll be here on Friday as the featured guest.
Awesome.
Which I'm
I'll be
so
there for
excited
both.
about.
I have a ladybug friend. Where's she? I don't know if you see me with the ladybug. Maybe the ladybug will be with me on Friday.
All right.
Great.
All over the place
Okay.
up in this attic.
Awesome. So I think we probably have time for like maybe one more question, and then I have like a quick question, and then I have a group discussion that I would love to. I have
Sure.
a thing I want to ask that's really important.
Okay.
I think ask it away.
Okay, let's do this. What should we call this? I don't know what to call this.
Group discussion.
Yeah, what is this? I've been calling it Lunch Club. I've been calling it
I like
Creative
Lunch Club. Lunch Club is great.
Conversations.
I thought it was munch.
We were talking about Munch Club yesterday, like food for thought. You know, like nourish your brain with some like food
Can
for
I say
thought
one thing?
stuff.
I think that if you call it Lunch Club, I think that you have to. This is the strategist in me, right? The strategist in me believes that if we call it Lunch Club, this has to eventually ladder up into like a cooking moment. Like we have to, like when we're all back together, I gotta come to your place. We gotta cook like something, or like whoever's being
happy to
interviewed
do
should come to your place and just cook or like something. I feel like eventually it should go to like a great like eating space. That was just my gut. I think.
I'm down. That sounds awesome. I
A
would love
lunch
to do
break
that.
instead of
I
lunch
could eat.
club.
What was that?
You could say lunch break instead of lunch club.
Oh yeah, that's a vibe too. Yeah, I like that.
So I think that the reason why I thought lunch would be cool is 'cause I thought we would eat lunch together, but then I haven't eaten lunch any time that I've done this yet. So it's like day 3, no lunch. I feel very nourished by the thoughts and the conversation. So maybe that's what it's about. It's like munching on tasty ideas.
Right.
I like lunch break. I was thinking like, since we're doing more of a global thing, you know, like for Sharona, she's on the West Coast in Seattle. So how do we figure out people that
I'm also on the West Coast.
Yeah, but you know, it's not lunchtime. How do we deal with that? Like, do we, I don't know.
Are we considering the West Coast global now?
No.
Well, yesterday there was somebody watching from Paris, so like it was definitely
Ooh,
not
amazing.
lunchtime from her.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Matthew, you got something here, man. You got to build it out. I mean, the world is hungry for it. This is great.
Yeah.
Got to keep building it.
Hungry.
Why
Yeah.
not art plus people conversations? Like just keep it, like make it the, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Because not everyone can stop. I mean, I think when we're back, not everyone that I think that you want I think not everyone that you want can like take a break in the middle of the day. I think. So
Right.
I think it'd be nice to have like at least like more space to like maybe after. I don't know. Just it'd be nice to have like great. It's like 4 o'clock. People are kind of like I don't know. Lunch is
I'm
always
fine
kind
with-
of even.
I'm fine with like changing the time. I want this to be a collaborative thing that's you know, built by all these great people that I really think are awesome. And so I'm curious, you know, I would love to just whatever. I'm happy to.
Gotta stay open to it. It'll mold. It'll mold. It'll. Honestly, I believe that you give it over to the world, it's gonna shift. That's with anything that we do, with scripts, with songs. Once you create it and it's given to the public, it immediately becomes what it's gonna be. So I think now that it's out in the world, just give it clearance to be what it's eventually gonna be.
Well, if any of you guys have a brilliant idea at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're like, oh man, I know what lunch club should be called. It should be called this. Let me know. All right, cool. Any last thoughts before we wrap things up? Cool. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being here, Fataah. It's been such a
Thank you.
pleasure. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Again, it'll
Me
be
too.
Sharona which I'm really, really excited about as well. What I'd like to do is, Fataah, can you tell anybody who might be watching later or who's listening right now how they can find you? What are
Oh
good
yeah.
ways to connect?
Sure. I'm on Instagram, of course, and the site is also up, but we're going to update that very soon. So yeah, please feel free to follow, and I love to follow back. So if you follow me, I'm definitely going to follow you back. So yeah, I'm all there, and I don't really in this time I'm not really engaging with Instagram so much. I'm kind of doing a bit of an unplug just because I just feel like it's what I need to do right now. So, but if you at me or whatever else will follow me, I'm going to follow you right back. I think everyone here is a legend, so I'm really excited to learn more about you.
What was the name of your Instagram?
Well, I'll put it in the chat right now. It's my personal Instagram is Fataah. That's it, and then the agency one is Creative, and I will put that in right now as well.
I follow the agency, but Fataah. Okay,
yeah.
I wish I could get my first name as an Instagram handle.
That's what my Gmail is also Fataah. Like my Gmail is Fataah. And it's funny, I was at because Google is one of the big partners at Pepsi. And I was there, they're just like, wow, it's like you're an employee. And I was like, yeah, I just happened to get the email like right when Google was like doing invitations for emails. It was very, very, very fortunate. It was great.
Nice. It's a beautiful name. You should share the meaning.
Yes. So in Islam, Allah has 99 beautiful names. So I was named after Al-Fatah, which is one of the 99 beautiful names of Allah. And Al-Fatah means the opening, the revealing, the victory. So I've heard a bunch of things, but it's like the opening, it's the revealing, it's like the opportunity to go in and like can do it. So yeah, thank you very much. And I love your name too. Your name is beautiful.
Thank you. I love your name too.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody is interested in tuning in tomorrow, go to artpluspeople.com/lunch. Also on artpluspeople.com, there's a creative resource if anybody needs an assistance as a creative person to look for more things. Or there's a couple fun things on there right now that people can do that are activity based, and I'll be building that out as we do more fun things like this. If you guys want to follow Art Plus People, it's at Art Plus People on Instagram. You can sign up for the email list and whatever you want to do. Thanks again for everybody being here. I hope everybody stays creative and full. I hope you feel nourished by this conversation. And thanks for being here, Fataah.
That's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Oh, wait.
Hi, guys. Stay connected.
I wanted to do something before we go. Here's a gallery view. I just wanted to like throw up this gallery. I should have done it earlier when there was more people, but like this is a super cool crew, and I'm happy you were all here.
You're gonna do that now?
Am I doing it now? I think I have gallery view on. So is that? Oh, maybe it's just for me. I was thinking maybe in the recording it would show. If you go up to the top right, there's speaker view and gallery view, and I think in the recording it will show the gallery. I'm hoping that's happening. I would love to do this every, week and then get more and more people in the gallery. That'd be really fun. All right, everybody.
Of your screen. No? Okay.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.